I'd like to introduce to you my new Singer 306K23 vintage sewing machine that I have just finished restoring myself this week. I attended a So Pretty vintage sewing machine restoration workshop earlier this year in Chickasha in Oklahoma City with Ray Bradbury and his team, and I highly recommend doing that course. If you love your vintage sewing machines and you want to look after them, that's the course to do. It was amazing. So I put those skills into use because when I got this machine, it was frozen, so you couldn't even get any movement out of here, and it also was electric, which anyone who knows me knows that I am not an electric sewing machine person. I am a treadle person. I love my treadles. If I can put it into a treadle, I'm going to. So I happened to have a spare treadle table that was in very bad repair, so I've done some repair work on that, even restored that, my very first treadle. It's not perfect, but you know, it's a lot better than what it was. And also I really wanted to know that I could do this. Really, that was really the main thing. So while I was restoring the machine, I left it in the bentwood and tidied it up first, so it was easier to do it that way. Do it in the box first, because you get to things. While I was doing the restoration, I discovered that it had a solid needle plate. It comes with 2 needle plates. This has actually got 3 with it, but that's the only other thing that it came with. This one is the all-purpose one so that I can do the zigzagging. But how do you get to your bobbin? Well, when it's in the bentwood case, you just literally just tip it over, and it has a lever to stop it from going anywhere. Now that I've put it into my treadle bed, you just make sure you disengage your belt, your treadle belt, and you make sure that the screws in here are tight. You don't, it's really important to make sure, because there's nothing worse than tipping it over and the thing actually falls out. You don't want that happening. So this is in really nice and tight. So here's your bobbin in the housing. This was absolutely just covered in grunge, and I've cleaned it right back. There's still a little bit more maybe could be done to that, but I just wanted to get it all tidied up. The bobbin is larger than your standard, because the 306K is a semi-industrial sewing machine used for domestic purposes, and so the bobbin here is way bigger than your 99, your 201s and your 66s. So that made me quite excited. Then I also discovered in here, once I took this lid off, all this sort of chocolate coloured, very smelly gunge came out. So obviously this hadn't been cleaned since it came from the factory. And so I cleaned all of that up in there. This is actually the cam for the zigzag head that sits in there, and I cleaned it up, oiled it, and put some new grease in there, and now she's as happy as anything. So dropping her back down into here, let's re-engage the belt. So to do that, you find the little knob that sticks out on the wheel. As you can see, there it goes. It pulls the belt around, so you don't even have to leave the comfort of your seat. Now it will turn the head up and down, so just make sure your needle has come back to its open spot there. Now let's show you what she sounds like when she is sewing. Now she sounds quite loud because of course the microphone is quite close to that, so of course she's going to sound loud to you, but to me she's actually sounding incredibly quiet compared to some of my other treadles. Just want to show you what she looks like when she's doing her zigzagging. So as you can see that I have tried different types of zigzagging. You can even do buttonholing in this. It's just amazing machine, and now that it's in a treadle and I can pedal it myself without using electricity, I'm really excited about that. The projects that I'm doing is I use recycled upholstery fabric that was destined for the landfill. These are all upholstery fabric samples. They end up in the landfill. So I have an upholsterer who now rings me and says, oh, I've got a whole lot of material, and I go, oh, okay, I'm coming to get it. And yeah, so I did need to fiddle with the bobbin tension in there, and I also needed to fiddle with the bobbin tension in here because I'm using very thick 32, I think it is, upholstery fabric thread. So just bear that in mind. So there is a little bit of, tension thing that you need to do. Now let's make this into a zigzag. So what we're going to do is you lift the needle up to its highest point. You come over to this cool little gadget here, okay, and you undo the knobbies like so. And then what you do is this here, if we move back to the needle, look how the needle is dancing backwards and forwards, right? So that is our stitch width sort of gauge, okay? So for this, we're just going to do it to number 5. We're going to leave our stitch, we're going to make our stitch length a little bit shorter. Let's make it to say 3. Tighten this up because you don't want this bouncing around. And then there we go. Look how pretty that stitch is. Okay, so now we want to make that tighter. We just come back to this here, tighten that up again. There we go. Just be careful that you don't go to 0. 0 is what you can use for patching, but the problem is that it does, I've noticed, it really does upset the bobbin in there. The other thing too is that the needle is shorter. This is a 301, which they're not making them anymore, so I've got a supply for now, and then I will buy a bobbin modificator that a guy on Facebook Vintage Sewing Machine page, he does modifications, and I'll purchase one from him before I run out of needles. But I will try and use the originals for as long as I can, because it'll be nice to use them in its original state as much as possible, considering that its original state was electronic, and now I've actually turned it into a treadle. So yes, sacre bleu. So here we go, turning it to there, and this is, so if you're wanting to do sort of more like a applique sort of type thing, and again you can switch it so that it's sewing on one side. Let's give you a quick example of that. So we're just adjusting all of these like so, and now it's sewing on the right hand side. Look at that. And we'll just bring that needle back up, come back up to here, take those off, switch that to the center, and yeah, we'll leave it to there, and then it's in the middle. Look at that. Now if we're wanting to make that little wave that I made before, that's really easy. You're gonna first of all drop your length down. I found a 4 is really good. There we go. Just do that, and then what I've discovered is that needs to be at the top, and then what you do is you sort of have it just on one where it is now, and we'll just tighten that up, and then so you can see that the bar sort of goes backwards and forwards, but it's really gentle. It's like a little wave, and you can again tighten it or whatever. But that is my refurbished, restored Singer 306K 23 that I have lovingly done myself. What worked most of all for this machine to get working was the fact that I love my machines, and I'm sure that you do too, because otherwise you wouldn't be bothering to watch this. And most of all, I just can't say how happy I am. Thanks to Ray and his team at So Pretty for teaching me how to do this, and I'm loving every moment of it. So I hope you're inspired. I hope you're enjoying your sewing projects, and happy vintage sewing, my friends. Bye.